But what I really want is Facebook. I want to make sure that everybody who wants to be here is here. Yeah, let's go just real quick. That's not advanced. Come on, buddy. Okay, so Tim posted there, so everybody who is, I just wanted to make sure everybody could get on. Cool. All right, we're back to slides. So last week, for those of y'all that were here, you know we went way technical. We went into Chris White zone and talked about OptimizePress 2.0. And you know, one of the things that I wanted to, and Donna is on the call, which is cool. So I talked to Donna a lot, and sorry, screen doing its thing. It's all right. We're not breaking down. One of the things that I wanted to, yes, thank you. Come on, buddy. All right. One of the things that Donna and I talk about all the time is, kind of what's working now. I know there's actually a magazine out there that Vanessa writes a column for called What's Working Now. But we talk a lot, and one of the things, last conversation I had with Donna, and I don't expect it to be any different now, it's like, well, what are you doing, Donna? It's like, I'm doing the basics. I'm doing Lead Gorilla. I'm doing lots of research. I'm doing working on my copywriting. I'm making sure I have good congruency, right? And then there's kind of the implied targeting, so that fits my new mantra, which is copywriting, congruency, and targeting. But I wanted to, after last week's technical call, I wanted to back up, and I wanted to go back to copywriting. And what really inspired me to do that was I was on Thursday's call, the one with Tim Irway and Fernie and Greg, and just by show of hands, who was on that Thursday call? Quick show of hands. Okay, James, Dirk, awesome. Donna, awesome. Okay, cool. So I was totally inspired by that. I was like, oh, there was a lot of really, Larry says, holler whenever you come back to Texas. To Austin, I will do that. But I was inspired. There was a lot of good nuggets in there. I mean, a lot of good stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And one of the things that Tim was talking about is he referenced a book, Irresistible Offer by Mark Joyner. And, I wrote, did I write 2 pages of notes? I wrote a full page of notes, which is a pretty big deal for me because I'm more of a auditory learner, so I like to listen, and rather than writing kind of interrupts my processing. But I wrote a lot of notes and, wrote that down, and I was like, wow, this is really good stuff. So I wanted to go and just build on that, build a call off of that. So today, what we are going to talk about is copywriting concepts from the Irresistible Offer. So just so you know, I think I put this slide next. No, I put it at the end. So the name of the book is The Irresistible Offer by Mark Joyner, and I'll have a slide at the end. His name is Joyner, I believe. But just to give, and all of these concepts are his. I want to stress that I'm going to go over a lot of points in here, and I don't mean for them to be necessarily explicit copywriting things that you have to have, but they're concepts, and to the degree that you can work these things into your copywriting, it's really going to enhance the connectivity you have with your audience, and really move your copywriting and what we have to say from run-of-the-mill, middle-of-the-pack stuff to really irresistible. Okay. So one of the things that Mark Joyner talks about in the Irresistible Offer is the Irresistible Offer has really 3 key elements, and one is a high ROI, a touchstone, and it's believable. Okay, so an Irresistible Offer has those 3 elements. And high ROI is pretty straightforward. It's, make sure your customer knows that they're getting a really good deal, right? If your offer is so-so, what makes them want to, take the next step? And you can look at the high ROI as really operating on a lot of different levels, okay? In a lot of ways, this is about framing, okay? If I'm at the ad, I want to demonstrate a high ROI for that ad, so they're going to want to click through, right? And once they get to the landing page, again, I'm going to have an opportunity to demonstrate even more ROI and have them opt in and go to the sales page. And obviously the ROI on the sales page is Greg's, but think of it this way. You're asking them to commit time, their information. Basically, as Greg says, you could be doing a million other things and you're here with me. And we should be really respectful of that. And one of the ways that we can really engage our customers is creating that high ROI. All right? Now the touchstone is a little bit of a Mark Joyner concept, and frankly he explains it better than I'm doing here, but I wanted to touch on some of the key elements of the touchstone. Okay? So the touchstone is, here's what we're selling, here's what's in it for you, and let me move this so I can read my own slide, and here's why you should trust us. Okay, again, this is one of those places where, especially in a really brief, maybe not in an ad, you couldn't hit all of those elements, but in a touchstone, you want to try to hit as many of those as possible. You definitely want to hit number 2, right? What's in it that's with them? What's in it for me? What we're selling, we're selling the benefit. Think of that as selling the benefit. So three reps a week. If you can get the trust in there, ordinarily there'd be things like testimonials, celebrity endorsements, things like that to create trust. We don't have a lot of space in an ad, in a landing page, but if you can do that, more is better, right? If I could write an ad that said, in 97 network marketers just like you generate 3+ reps a week, or sponsor 3+ reps a week. And obviously it has to be true. That's important. But if you could say something like that, even though they don't know those 697 people directly, it kind of creates that social proof and creates that trust element. Some other things about the touchstone is it should be clear and simple and brief. And y'all know me, I'm always talking about brief. And my students and the people I talk with, I think short and to the point copy is the way to go. I know Jeff Carlson has wonderful results with longer copy, and I don't mean like full sales letter long, but a full page worth of stuff. He's good at that. I like shorter, especially in the beginning when you're writing copy. I think you have more opportunity to put your foot in your mouth with the longer your copy is. But you always want to be as concise as possible because you have very limited amount of time to catch a reader's attention and demonstrate this high ROI, the touchstone, the believability. So the shorter the better. And simple, short. Don't use a $20 word when you can use a $1 word or even a 25-cent word, and it should be clear, right? So those things are kind of self-evident. Dadgum, I cannot get my slides to go tonight. Believability. So this is one where I pondered this one a lot, and let me just read this slide. So what if I offered you $1,000 for every dollar you gave me, right? It's our ATM concept. I put $1 in, I get $1,000 back, right? Awesome, great deal. Well, there's a often told story of a direct marketer by the name of Mike Enlow, and he put this offer in a newspaper ad to prove a point. And when he put that offer in a newspaper, he did not get a single response, not a single one, and that was his whole point of running that ad. And the point he was trying to make there is the bigger and bolder you make your touchstone or your offer, the more difficult it is to prove, and the harder you have to work to sell the believability and the credibility. And you know, Tim Irway said it very well on the Thursday night call, is especially with what we're selling, which is coaching, and that is they have to believe that you've done it, and they have to believe that they can do it. Okay, so you know, if I went in with Greg's, let me show you how to sponsor up to 247 reps a week. How many people do you think would continue through my funnel and click on things? There might be a few, but it's going to be much less than if I said 23 or if I said 5 or said 3. You know, Greg likes to use the 5, 10, even 20 reps a week. That way you can kind of pick and choose wherever your mindset is. You can pick the number that works for you. But I just kind of want to make that point because, you know, believability is a big deal. And, you know, I look at my stuff sometimes and I look at other places where you're going to see advertising and just really look at that and think about that whole believability element. Do I really believe this? And so that's the third key element of the irresistible offer. Now, there are offer intensifiers, and I'll just read them out here. You know, urgency is one of them. That one's fairly common. I think everybody's aware of that one. There's the added value. There's the bonus. I know, for example, Chris White at one time he ran a landing page that basically guaranteed, so risk reversal, the next one, not only on top of Greg's guarantee, but his own guarantee that if they didn't like the blueprint, he'd double their money back. Okay, so that's kind of an added value. It's like a double guarantee. I know other people have run landing pages where they give a bonus like a free 30-minute coaching session. Okay, and just so you know, Greg is totally okay with that. And if you're comfortable with it and you think you can create value and therefore engage your readers and turn them into buyers and make your offer more irresistible, go for it. I mean, that's very important. Scarcity. So, you know, number one, can you get this only right now? So really kind of scarcity and urgency together. That's an urgency one. But scarcity, is this the only place I can get this, right? Could I get it? Could I go to Walmart? Could I talk to my best buddy? Could, you know, whatever. Is this knowledge that I can get something else somewhere else, or is this the only place that I can get it? And I know sometimes, especially those of you promoting Blueprint and those promoting Primary too, people will click on your ad, but they may not opt in, and then right then, but then later you'll see, you know, an opt-in come through. Like I know for campaigns that I run, I'll see an opt-in or even a sale come through for a campaign I haven't run in 2 months. It's like, where the heck did that come from, right? So what's happening there? Well, part of it is it is kind of a scarcity issue and a uniqueness. It really goes to uniqueness as well. Maybe they're not quite sure. Maybe they don't quite believe you. Maybe they're still looking around and they're checking out other things that they think, training and coaching that they think may help them, or systems, easy button, instant downline stuff. And they look around and for whatever the case, they bookmark your page and then they come back later, they opt in and they buy. Well, that really kind of speaks to scarcity and uniqueness, right? They don't think they can get it anywhere else. They may not be able to get it again, and it's different than everything else in the market. And the last one that we have here is ease. And, you know, this one is kind of a double-edged sword because we don't necessarily want to promote the easy button, right? There's no work involved. There's, you know, just push button instant downline or instant solution to whatever your issue is. You know, we don't necessarily want to promote that, but what we do want to say is it's easier than where you are now, right? So if they're doing belly to belly and they're frustrated with that, and maybe they don't have a lot of you know, they don't have a big list, they don't have a lot of friends and acquaintances, they burn through their list, you know, it's just frustrating for them. Well, certainly what the Blueprint offers is a heck of a lot easier than that, right? And trying to go out to, and not slamming anybody that does this, just saying, go out to the mall or go out to, you know, Starbucks and chat people up and get a name and phone number. Certainly a lot easier than that in some ways. So all of these things are offer intensifiers, and they add to the irresistible offer and what you said previously. So Joyner has this thing he calls the offer continuum, and I kind of like the lexicon that he's using there. It's kind of interesting, but I thought it's really, they're pretty cool, because if you can think about when you're writing your copy, as many of these elements as you can build into, whoops, my bad, page up, as many of these things as you can build into your copy, the better, right? And on the scale, on the good side of the scale. So the first one is, how obvious is the need? So if we were talking about, you know, building a big downline, well, pretty obvious needs are, you got to have a list, you got to have leads, you got to have somebody to talk to. That's pretty darn obvious. Well, less obvious might be, you know, that you got to at least have some leadership skills. Just be a bump on a log. So that's pretty obscure, or less obvious than having leads and a big list, and so that's kind of that. It's always a continuum, and you want to get people as close to the obvious need as possible, because they may not even be aware. You know, when people especially are new to network marketing, they may not know. It's like, oh, you mean if I want to have a 10,000 person downline, I got to have leadership skills? Oh, I didn't even realize. So that's the first one. How obvious is the need? The second one is, how genuine is the need? So on one side, I don't need it at all. I'm not motivated to go get it, versus life or death. And this really works to, I think, the first two really kind of cover what Greg talks about, is they have to have a need, want, and desire to for what we have to offer, or whatever you're promoting. I think the first two kind of cover that whole gamut there, he says, in two different ways. So then another one is, how common is the solution? So this goes back to uniqueness. Can I get this anywhere, or is it a one-of-a-kind solution? And if you're promoting primary, this is very important. Blueprint, very important. Honestly, I don't think anybody promotes like Greg does. Very one-of-a-kind. Continued, the offer continuum. So can you demonstrate the ROI? So the spectrum here is, I can't demonstrate the ROI versus I can easily demonstrate the ROI. right? So in a lot of cases, like for example, if your copy is talking about sponsoring or enrolling 3+ reps a week, that's kind of in the middle of the road, right? The ROI on that is a little bit, the ROI comes from the enrolling of three reps a week, right? You get self-satisfaction, you're probably going to make some money, get some momentum going, but all of those things are kind of secondary to the actual action. But to the degree that you can easily demonstrate the ROI, the better. So how emotional is the offer? How emotional is what you have? So is it a yawn? I could care less. It's like, oh yeah, okay, interesting, versus people are really going to be passionate about it. This straight out of the book, Strong Men Weep, which is good copy, by the way. But you get it, right? How passionately engaged, how emotionally engaged are people? So obviously the more emotionally engaged, the better off. How timely is the offer? So if they don't need it anytime soon versus they got to have it now. So, if somebody is trying to go diamond in the next 5 years, or, hit some leadership level in the next 5 years, timely, they're probably a little bit loose on that. They could get it next week, next month, maybe even a year from now, and they still probably meet their goal. Versus, walking across stage, hitting a new rank, and walking across stage at the next event, right? So that's going to be a little more time bound, and so there's going to be a little more of a time constraint, and hence the offer is going to be more relevant to them right now. Then the last piece is, how does the offer stack up against the competition? And again, this works for primary, this works for blueprint. So the worst case scenario is our competition is great and we stink, versus we are clearly the best solution in the market. So all of those put together, so I'm going to back up for a second. I'm going to run through it. So how obvious, how genuine is the need, how common is the solution, how easy can you see the ROI essentially, how emotional is it to the audience, and how timely is it, and then how does it stack up with the competition? Hold on just a second, turn the alarms off here. So that's the offer continuum that Joyner talks about in the Irresistible Offer. So, and obviously this is the book, so this is the final slide. So I'm going to jump back just real quick to review. So again, Irresistible Offer has a high ROI, has the touchstone, it's believable. The ROI is just the customer knows they're getting a really good deal. The touchstone is, hey, what are we selling? What's in it for them? And why should they trust you? And it should be clear, simple, and brief. And obviously, the more bold your claims, the more the believability and the trust comes into question, right? In the case here was Mark Enlow offering to give people $1,000 for every dollar they gave them, and he got no responses on that ad. Then there's offer intensifiers, which are urgency, added value, risk reversal, which is essentially a guarantee, scarcity, ease of accomplishing whatever the offer is, or getting the benefit, getting the ROI, and then uniqueness, and then the offer continuum that we just talked about. So, having ripped through all of that, does anybody have any questions? I know that was a lot of stuff, and I want to remind you that again, this is the book. Irresistible Offer by Mark Joyner. I've had this a long time, for years, but it's definitely a good read. It's a quick read. It's like 250 pages, and it's more internet style than it is novel style, so it's a pretty quick read. So I'm going to open it up. Any questions? Either went really fast or y'all are still taking notes. Any thoughts, any questions? And by the way, I will post this PowerPoint in the group so y'all can have this and look at all these cool things. And you know, I'd highly recommend reading the book because he really explains. He goes into more depth, obviously, and some things like that. Let's see. Got a good. Allison is saying that she loves Mark's stuff. So clearly there's more stuff, which I haven't read. So cool. Thanks for that, Allison. So any questions? Any questions at all? Because if there aren't, what we're going to do is move on to general Q&A and or hot seats. So do I have any inspired individuals tonight that have either questions or want to do a hot seat? Let's just start with questions. So raise hands. Anybody have a general question? Wow, I got the crickets tonight, and I apologize. This one's on me. Okay, Dirk has a question. I will unmute you, sir. Hey, Dirk.
Hi, I was typing it in, so I'll ask it. It's easier.
Oh, it is.
So what's working now with Facebook ads?
That's the broadest question ever, Dirk. The broadest
question.
You know, here's the deal. I think that, you know, I'm personally still using custom audiences and optimized CPM for my bidding type.
Okay.
But I'm about to go into some testing to see if, you know, CPC is working better, or if even some different, you know, just straight up CPM, or even using interests instead of custom audiences. Because I know Donna, last time I talked to Donna, she said she was using mostly interest, I think, if not all interest, and no custom audiences. So I really think the short answer is it depends, and you know, it depends on your audience, it depends on how good your ads are. Because one of the things, for example, that I've done in the past is I'll run ads either CPC or optimize CPM and run a split test and see what's the best ad, and then I might just run regular CPM, just straight up bid CPM. You know, so news feed versus right hand side, and again that depends, and a lot of it has to do with, let me see what Donna's saying here. Okay, so Donna's saying she's using all interest and no custom audiences right now. So I think one of the things too is it also depends on where you've been running. I mean, if you've been running a lot of news feed and people are getting tired of you there, especially if you're hitting the same audience, then maybe switching up to right hand side, because a lot of Facebook is just about staying fresh. So, you know, that's copy, that's imagery, that's where your ad is appearing, you know, those kinds of things. I think, you know, obviously targeting is important. You know, you pick an audience that's relevant to what you have to offer. I think bidding strategy is less important in the overall mix. I mean, I listen to a lot of calls, and I hear people say they like, you know, I've had good results with optimized CPM, but I hear a lot of people say, oh, all I run is CPC. So again, I think the short answer is you just have to test to find out what's working. Right. So I don't think Go ahead.
I've tried a couple of those things, and my problem has been reach. So
Okay.
I'm lucky to get 1,000 people, reach 1,000 people with an ad in a day.
How big of an audience?
Anywhere from 20 to 120,000 people. Doesn't seem to matter.
Hmm.
And I've tried it with CPC, and that tends to kick it up for a day.
Yep.
But then the next day it's dropped back down. I'm having a real hard time getting any kind of consistency from one day to the next.
I can tell you I did run a campaign recently where it was an ad and it was running pretty well, and then it just stopped. I mean, the click-through rate didn't fall off or anything, but they just literally quit showing it. I was trying to think, what was the one? Oh, one thing I did here, and I haven't tested this, but you might want to try, is putting, you can actually schedule your campaign, so they have a
putting an end date.
stop, and put an end date on there. We may have talked about that before, but that's another thing that you can try.
And that seemed to help a little too, but it seems like, the first day, sometimes the second day is okay, but the third day it just drops off, and usually it drops off the second day. So
that's interesting because I haven't seen that. I'm gonna Donna, I'm gonna unmute you. Okay. Hello, Donna.
Hi, how you doing? I just can't find my headset, so you might not be able to hear me completely.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, good.
You're good. So did you have some thoughts on that? I see you had a couple comments, and I just maybe share them. And
yeah, Dirk, how many images do you start at a time?
Well, okay, so what I've done is in each, all right, so you've got your campaign, and then you've got your ad set, and then you've got your ad. So in an ad set, I'll do 4 images.
Okay.
And I'll let them all run until one takes off, and then I'll pause the others and let that run the rest of the day. And then the next day, I'll try a different one and see how it compares, and that way.
Okay. Within 48 hours of running those 4 images, you're going to find the clear leader out of that. But one of the things with reach, if Facebook doesn't like your images, they're not going to give you reach, and that's just straight up. If they don't approve of it, you could have an image that for sure is going to convert for you, but if Facebook doesn't like it, they won't show it, plain and simple. So that was my recommendation, was to make sure that you were starting 4 images at a time and making sure that you were doing that, which you are. The other thing is, and what Bruce was touching on, see, right now with this new interface, we're really trying to figure out what is working best, like Bruce had said at the beginning. And one of the things I do, I run both right side and newsfeed at the same time.
For each one?
For everyone, yeah.
So you make one ad, but it has 2, one right side and one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I tried that.
So here's the scoop on that, because you can't see what the true stats for both the right side and the newsfeed are separately anymore. They combine the totals into one accrued stat. Okay. If you want to find out which one is actually running better, you have to run a report on your ad.
You can click on the report thing there. Exactly. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is going to actually tell you, which is running better. And one of the things that I have seen over the course of the last couple of weeks with the new interface and how things are running, if you are looking at your personal newsfeed and you're scrolling through, if you look, they're only showing about 5 right side ads right now at a time. And as you scroll through, those right side ads actually disappear. But the newsfeed ads, are getting more noticeable, okay? But
so they're giving preference to newsfeed ads.
But here's the thing, you have to let the numbers speak for themselves, no matter what. You have to see how those right sides work versus the newsfeed, because there's a trade-off. News feeds are only shown one time each to each person. So there's a frequency of 1, whereas you have a frequency of 3, an average of 3 times on a right side ad that's shown per person. So you really have to look at your numbers and compare. Newsfeed costs a little bit more, but they're also bigger. So you have to do those stats if you're going to run both and take a look at which is actually performing and which isn't and see what's going to work best.
Okay. Do you run optimized CPM?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds very similar to what I've been doing. So that's good that I'm on track with that. I'll continue. But I'm getting a lot higher frequency. I'm getting sometimes as high as 12 and 14.
For a right side.
Yes.
Yeah, not for a newsfeed. Newsfeed's always 1, usually.
Okay.
Always 1.
Now, one thing I will say that's interesting, Donna, that now that you mention this, and I thought it was just me, I thought I was being picked on lately, but I don't get any ads on my home view or whatever. I have to go somewhere else. So when I'm in my home view, no ads other than newsfeed.
Exactly. Nope, it's not just you, Bruce. That's all the way around. You're seeing more like suggested pages and that kind of thing, but less right side ads.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
I always like the right side. I mean, personally, I don't know if I've mentioned it on this call. I know I've spoken with other folks about it, but my right side ads were 2 times the ROI of my newsfeed ads.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would get 4 or 5 to 1 in the right-hand side, and I'd get 2 to 2.5 in the newsfeed.
And for me, everybody knows their ads, so they know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
It's kind of a framing, kind of a mindset thing. If they go over there and they click on them, you got to figure they know what they're doing. They know their intent is to be advertised and not necessarily sold to, but at least see an ad, right? Newsfeed is a little bit different, which then brings up the idea of your framing and your newsfeed just has to be different, right? You're in their social space. It has to be social, but meet the intent that you're trying to do, and probably your landing pages even has to be a little different. If it was a little more socially geared, and I'm not exactly sure how to say that.
There's so much more copy you can put on a news feed.
Sure.
You can do the advanced, and you've got 60 characters there.
Right. Just be careful with that. Make sure that you have your direct headline. So, your headline is going to show in the bottom, but then you really want, and I've seen this throughout the last couple of weeks, people are putting what we used to put in the text in that advanced option area. Don't forget, that cuts off. And so people actually have to click to read the rest of that because you have like so many space characters in there. Make sure that you are putting your what you want to get, directly to that person in that top area for the text.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to lose people.
That brings up the next question. Yep. What about using a button?
I use a button all the time.
Okay. Like learn more or
learn more. Yep, that's what I use. Okay. Learn more.
Yeah, because I'm giving away a PDF. So the other question, and I'm experimenting. I'm testing with this right now. Report versus ebook. Any ideas?
No.
That's pretty subtle. How do you differentiate between report being shorter, ebook being longer?
Well, I think most people think of a ebook as having more value than a report.
So is it literally more content and more value, or is it just the way you're styling it?
Well, it's a 43-page PDF, so that qualifies for me as an ebook.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
A report would be a 1 or 2 page report, basically. I mean, that's the way my mindset is, and I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I read somewhere just this last week, maybe over the weekend, that it was, I can't remember, it was like a bunch of optimization tips. But one of the things that they were saying was video, that actually they got higher conversions on reports or ebooks or whatever than video, which is interesting.
That is
Yeah, because that's one of the things. But I think one of the things, and I alluded to this, my double entendre at the beginning. Don, I don't think you were there at the time, but we were talking about my mysterious post about and now for something completely different. And one of the things that I've seen, I personally think it's a fundamental shift, and that is leading with value. I think to the degree that you can give, like the report or the ebook or whatever, and even for Blueprint folks, to the degree that you can lead with value before they even get to your offer, I think the better off you are. I think it creates goodwill. It positions you as an expert. There's a lot of benefits there, and I think, and certainly don't consider it a shiny object, and again, work on basics. But when you're watching advertising in Facebook and seeing what people are doing, just kind of pay attention to what's going on there and see what people are doing. I think that's real important right now because we have had this fundamental shift in Facebook. So, the classic rule of see what keeps showing up over and over and over and over and again and over again. That's somebody who's either rich and stupid or it's working, right? So if you see the same ads showing up, guess what? Something's working. And I hate to say this, but click on the ad, check out the funnel. I do it all the time, especially network marketing stuff. I mean, I've looked at a lot of things because I'm trying to see if there's, okay, is that a little tip or trick that I might be able to pick up? But that's one of the things that I'm seeing is just leading with value. So, but I think the fact that it sounds to me like, to Donna's point that, newsfeed is really kind of where I won't say they're forcing us to go, but they're certainly, it's like we'll always give you the news feed. We won't always give you, and think of it this way too, news feed always shows up in mobile, which RightSide does not. So,
whoa, are you telling me that mobile and news feed are not different? I don't need to run both if I want mobile?
Say that one more time.
All right, there's three kinds. There's news feed, there's RightSide, and there's mobile. Those are the three options when you're creating an ad. And RightSide is not clickable or visible for a mobile user. But
here's the deal. RightSide and newsfeed are placement. Mobile is device. So it's desktop versus mobile. So those are two different dimensions basically of an ad. So you've got placement and you've got device. And so if you run right-hand side, that doesn't show up on mobile.
Okay,
but you can run newsfeed for mobile and desktop or just desktop only.
Oh, okay. All right. So if I run desktop only newsfeed, it's not going to show up on anybody's mobile. So if I want anything to show up on the mobile, I have to say mobile.
Yes.
All
and the thing that Jonathan Way always loves to point out, and he's totally right about this, because I have this thing in my head, it's like nobody is going to buy the Blueprint on their iPhone or their Android, right? They're not going to sit through a 35-minute video. They're not going to, it's just not going to happen. But Jonathan's point is that iPads and tablets are considered mobile.
Yep.
Right? So just keep that in mind. Let's see. So does that help? I mean, I think the short answer is a lot of things are changing, and especially, and it's going to be a little bit different from offer to offer and audience to audience. And so you basically just have to split test and mosh your way through it. I don't know that I'm fully happy with, where I am. I'm finding, I had a lot of dynamics change at one time. We changed the interface. I switched domains and had to get a new ad account with Facebook. So a lot of it I was attributing just to me, right? It's like, oh, okay, it's new account penalty and all that kind of stuff. So, but I am starting to see more of my traditional stuff working pretty well. So I'm not totally convinced that, right-hand side is dead, and that I like right-hand side, to be honest, because my numbers are better there. But we'll see. It's new world order, and got to navigate the landscape. And I encourage all of you, either in the elite or depending on how technical what you're talking about is, but in elite or master elite groups, post your questions, post, ahas. It's like, ooh, I did this split test. I figured this out. This was awesome. To kind of help expedite the and get us farther along the learning curve. So, okay. All righty.
Thank you very much, both of you, Donna. You too.
You're very welcome.
All right, let's see. So Allison has a question. How is everybody finding cost on their ads? Have you gone back to manual bids? So personally, I'm still doing optimized. I'm considering doing some manual bid. My costs are a little higher than they used to. I used to run, very solidly, in the 25-cent range per click, and I think I'm running more like 35 to 40 right now. So clearly, I've got some work to do there. I think part of that is another dynamic for me is just the type of images. I'm using zero copyright, trademark, not even anything close, because, having just gotten the account disabled, trying to stay away from people's hot buttons. So I think that has something to do with my cost. But does anybody else, if you know your stats and you just want to type it in, I'll call those out just to kind of give Allison some a range. I know mine are a little bit higher. Let's see, Jeff, we're glad to have you here, buddy. And let's see, Michelle was saying mobile is automatically running when you start an ad. You have to opt out of it if you don't want it. So that's important. I think that is definitely true. You have to be careful about that, and news feed. I think it starts out with all three, correct? And then you have to shut down the ones that you do not want. So that's a good observation, Michelle. Thank you. All right, folks, we are coming up on the hour. Does anybody have any questions, or does anybody want to do a quick hot seat? I'm more than happy to do that. We got a lot of heavy hitters on the call tonight. Jeff's here, Donna's here, Christy's here, so could definitely get some killer feedback if anybody's interested in doing a hot seat. Donna is showing off, and she says she's running anywhere from 12 to 36 cents per click. So Donna, do you know what's your account average? Because I'm running at the high end. I'm running like 35 cents a click on my account. Clearly you're got it going on, and again, that may be new account penalty for me to some degree. What about you, Jeff? What kind of ad cost per click are you getting? Just type that in your questions there. Nana says she is not showing off. She says 26 is the average. Okay, so clearly I need to have Donna show me how to get those costs per click down. Let's see, Christy's getting 17 to 20 cents. Man, y'all are killing it. I am nowhere near that. What about you, Jeff? Dirk says he was at 24 to 40 and is now over 65. So one of the things, guys, I will say this, our Mr. X, Eric McMillan, he said cost is all about click-through rate, primarily. I mean, if your click-through rate is high, your cost is going to be low. So you really want to, if your cost is too high, you really just got to split test to get the click-through rates up. Let's see, Jeff. Jeff says he's averaging about 30 cents. So what's interesting here is, you know, I'm kind of complaining because mine are up in the upper 30s, mid to upper 30s, and, you know, just running 30 cents, and Donna's killing it at 25, and Christy's killing it at 25. But, you know, at least for Blueprint folks, Greg's kind of standard profitability standard is 60 cents. So we're still getting half what the cost that Greg recommends. So those are still very good numbers. I was on a webinar the other night, and they were saying, you know, the average advertiser plays like $1 to $5 a click, like crazy numbers. So those are actually quite good. Let's see. Anybody want to do a quick hot seat? We're coming up on the hour. If nobody feels compelled, we will wrap it up, and I will, again, I'll put the PowerPoint out in the group. Any last questions? Anybody want to do hot seat? I don't have any takers. I'm going to call it an evening. Anybody? Going once, going twice. Oh, let's see what Dirk's quick. Oh, you're welcome, Dirk. Dirk says thank you. So I wanted to leave you with these guys. I wanted to and y'all, I'm sure, have heard this before, but I really think this is core to what we do, and that is this quote from Zig Ziglar, and that is, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. So I want to encourage everybody to go out there and, you know, use the, you know, copywriting congruency and targeting to help to get to folks, and you know, help them get what they want, and everything that you want will come your way. So y'all have a great week, and as always, if you have any questions, post in the group. You can reach out personally, private message me or any of the coaches, and we will do our best to help you be successful. So y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you all next week.